Hello, everybody. Welcome to a late edition of Rumors versus Facts. We've been working all day, and I had something I had to do at 7 o'clock, so we moved it back to 7:57. Should have been much earlier, but that's the way things go. I appreciate Jed May joining me for this signing day eve. Signing day is 48 hours away. We've had a bunch of major updates on the vault at ugasports.com. And look, it's there's 4 hours left in the evening. The Cyber Monday sale is still going on. You can jump on and get 50% off of your next year to UGA Sports on 3 rivals, plus 1 year of access to the Athletic by just going and signing up right now. At midnight, it's over. So if you haven't signed up, please do so now. Yesterday, we were the second fastest scoring site in the network. But then 5 coaches got hired, and we dropped back to 6th. So bastards. Anyway, Jed, a lot of things going on right now. We're going to be all over the place tonight because we need to talk a little bit about the Georgia Tech game, a lot about recruiting, and the upcoming Alabama game. I think everyone's going to want to know right off the bat about all the updates we've had on Jared Curtis. And we can't tell everything that's behind the paywall over there because, some of it's not our news. Some of it is news that came from the national. You had a fantastic war room this morning where you had a long treatise on where the Jared Curtis saga is, where it stands as of Monday. But there was Jared Curtis news today. Tell the folks what's going on.
Yeah, so we moved his signing from Friday morning to Wednesday morning, basically more or less 48 hours up. It's at 10 a.m. Eastern time, Wednesday morning, which Georgia people think it's good for them. Vanderbilt people think it's good for them. So I think that pretty much fits into how I'm looking at this, which is like nobody knows. And I think both sides are being told what they want to hear. And we're going to find out which side is being misled on Wednesday. Both schools have got a lot of pros going for them. They're all different. I kind of laid those out this morning, but I think Vanderbilt is like as I've said on the show before, Vanderbilt's uniquely positioned to offer hometown school, early playing time, a very competitive, perhaps more lucrative NIL package than Georgia has. So we'll see. Georgia's got the relationships, all that stuff that used to matter in recruiting. So we'll see. I don't know. I told you earlier today, Rowdy. If I had a prediction, I would share it. Like, I'm not afraid to be wrong. I honestly don't know. I don't know what the kid's gonna do because I think both sides feel confident. And we're gonna find out Wednesday morning. It's gonna drag out 2 less days, which and I'm sure a lot of fans on both sides of this are happy about. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. It's going to go down to the wire. I think this is a chance where there might not be a decision made until Wednesday morning. That's how this kind of feels right now.
He's committed to Georgia. He hasn't decommitted. I know some people are just saying this is being ginned up by the media, and I call bullshit on that because the kid's not oblivious to all the talking that's going on. He is on social media. If you'll find him on TikTok, the guy's out there. He could easily come out and say, "Hey, I'm going to Vandy," or "I'm going to Georgia." I don't know where all this talk's coming from. His mom comes out and says, "I still prefer Georgia." Well, the mom, if she's on social media saying what she prefers, she could easily just say, "Hey, and that's where we're going." Okay. His agent wants him to go to Georgia, or at least advised him to after what they had set up, the deal they had hit. And I'm not reading one. My point is there's something to it there. All the reporters in Vandy, all the national reporters, even our competition 24/7, they're predicting him to flip. Our Steve Wiltfong predicted him to flip with a 60% confidence in that. There's, in other words, this isn't being ginned up to generate clicks. We don't get paid by the click, so if we could shut it down, we do so in 2 seconds, but we know that there's something there. We know that Vandy has been working on him. He has visited multiple times. You're right. But I spoke with some of the money people this past weekend, people who are involved in the NIL side of things. And I said, yeah, Vandy came out with a crazy offer, and Kirby doesn't spend money silly for, an unknown quantity. And I mean, that's happened. It happened with a Dylan Raiola thing. It's happened with some other kids. Justice Terry. Sometimes a school just decides to go all in on a kid, and you just say, okay, well, we're not going to do that. Georgia's doing that. I'll put it this way. I was told by those people, they said, look, we've called in some more folks. We've got some different deals set up. This kid is, if he goes to Vanderbilt, it will not be because Georgia was not competitive in their offer. I said, okay. I said, so if he does go to Vandy, why? And like you said, there's the hometown aspect of it. He would be a hero there. And everyone I've spoken to, and at least 6 different people have told me this, for playing time. He wants to play as a freshman. No question. That's now we've seen that happen. Look at Matt Stafford, the guy who I think he reminds me of the most. He played as a freshman. Quincy Carter, lots of guys have come in and played as a freshman. How much though? So that's the real question: is how much would he play at Georgia, and will Georgia guarantee it? I just don't see that happening. But this kid's really good. He knows he's good. He knows he can start in a lot of places. So I think the question comes down to is, does he believe he gets a real crack at playing time at Georgia? If he doesn't think he's going to get it, then he's not coming to Georgia. So that's what you got to convince him, is that he's got a shot.
And I mean, you say playing time, like it's starting, right? Like it's not like, oh, I'm going to come in and be a backup guy.
That was,
but basically, like I don't know. I don't know that he's not a guy like you see Deuce Knight with Auburn, and not that he's played a whole lot either, but he's a guy that you basically could have like a wildcat package in for. Like he's like, yeah, he's got good mobility and he can run. He does great things in Tennessee, but he's a traditional quarterback. So I mean, we're assuming, I mean, if he comes, it seems like there's a decent chance somebody transfers out, but he would have to earn the backup job to begin with, right? And I just don't see Kirby Smart promising playing time.
He'll be the backup.
That's just not how it's worked. So like, I don't know. I don't think, and like if you're Georgia, you can up your NIL offer. You can, you can build him a house there on the bridge right next to the stadium. You can do whatever you want. If he wants to start and play as a freshman, then I mean, there's nothing you can do about it necessarily if you're not going to guarantee that playing time. And like I said, I don't know that Kirby Smart's going to do that. So, I don't know. It's a slippery slope.
You can
talk yourself into any, like somebody on the board earlier was like, oh, well, this seems like a kid who doesn't know what he wants to do and he wants to go where he's most comfortable, which is close to home. And I was like, well, you could also spin it as more comfortable is with the coaches he's had the relationships with for 3 years. So like you can talk yourself into either side, whichever you want to believe. And I think not that's necessarily what both sides are doing, but both sides feel like they have the deciding factors to get him. Vandy's got the playing time. Georgia's got the long-term relationships. They've also got his commitment currently, and they've got long-term winning. They've got surrounded by the best players. They've got all that stuff. And is it going to be enough? And I don't know. Again, if I had a prediction, I would share it. I don't. I really don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know that anybody is going to have a firm grasp of it. He could come out and flip tomorrow and sign Wednesday morning for all I know. But I just don't know what he's going to do. And I don't know that anybody is going to have a firm grasp of what he's going to do till he puts pen to paper Wednesday morning.
Yeah. And a lot of it has to do with the fact Kirby doesn't promise anybody playing time. And it's hurt him with a number of targets. We've seen that with defensive ends. We've seen it with running backs. We've seen it with wide receivers. Kirby doesn't promise it to anybody. And Jed's been doing this a long time. Every article you read, no matter how good the kid is, no matter how, 5 stars or whatever, they're like, yeah, the coaches keep it 100, I think is what they say. They keep it real with me. They tell me they're very honest with me. They break it down. They tell me I'm going to have to come in and fight for a job. I'm going to have to fight to start. And when you talk to them off the record, they'd be like, yeah, but I can go to Kentucky and start tomorrow. And so Jared could step right into Vandy, and he's the guy. No, I would say there's no competition because I'm not going to disparage the other QBs that are there, but they Kentucky's not returning a Gunnar Stockton. They don't have a Ryan Montgomery and Ryan Puglisi in the wings yet. They've got a very good quarterback, and Will Muschamp's son, and they have another guy that's pretty good, but they're not these guys. So when I'm saying he's not demanding to be handed the starting position, but it's just he knows that it's a hell of a lot harder to hit the field when you've got Gunnar Stockton, who next year will be on the short list for the Heisman probably. I mean, I know people are upset about how he looked this past week, but remember, this is a guy that scored 5 TDs not too long ago, and Gunner's a good QB. So we've seen it all year. One of the highest completion percentages in the nation until last week. So anyway, that's where it is with Curtis. Nobody's sure. And even the people who say he's going to flip are saying it's not a done deal. And I'm trying to think of who else would know. There are people in our market that say we don't think he's going to flip. There are people in our market who think he is going to flip. So it's I'm with you, Jed. Nobody knows, but I'm just telling the update that we have is he went from signing on Friday to Wednesday. You can read what's into that all you want. And at one point, I would have, if you'd asked me before Thanksgiving, Roddy, where's he going? I'm like, I think Vandy's going to flip him. On Friday, I spoke to people who were involved in this who signed the checks, and they're like, no, we're still in this heavily. He's still committed to us. We're right in it. The only sticking point, they say, and noting that his mother wants him to come here and his agent, is playing time. So take that with what you will. That's the variable. Can you convince him to? I don't say sit, but convince him that it's going to. Are you willing to take the harder path to see the field? And probably the path that means he only plays, spottingly to start the season. Now, maybe as the season progresses, he gets more and more playing time, because that's exactly what happened with, I won't say his mentor, but remember Matt Stafford didn't start the season. I think it was that Auburn game when he came in the rain and tore it up. It's like by midway through this season, he was your guy. So. And I'm not saying he could supplant Gunner, but this kid's really, really good. Okay. He's phenomenal. So anyway, there was other recruiting news. The Bulldogs lost a commitment. So tell folks about that.
Yeah, defensive back Keelan Jones, a flip to Georgia Tech. He'd been committed to Georgia since G-Day, maybe, or it's been a minute. He was one of the earlier commits. And the class had kind of been trending this way. He was on Tech's campus or however visits shake out for the game the other night. And I think if you look at it, Georgia's pursuing Blake Stewart, which I think I was told Saturday maybe or whatever, that there's a real chance that the way the class shakes out will end up being swapping Keelan Jones for Blake Stewart, which the class will be all right if that's the case. And Blake Stewart, Georgia's battling Vanderbilt, shockingly enough for him, because Georgia Vanderbilt's apparently a recruiting rivalry now. In modern recruiting, but it's a good pickup for Tech. I think Keelan's a good player, but I think Georgia has identified Blake Stewart as a guy it really wants to add, and if they do seal the deal with him, which Chad had a story earlier where he's supposed to be announcing Wednesday, then I think the class will be all right.
Okay. What are they losing in Jones?
Yeah, I think he's more of your traditional safety. Some of these guys, it's safety. Speaking of what coaches tell recruits, every DB recruit I swear that I've ever talked to says, "Oh, like, what position do the coaches see you playing?" "Oh, they can see me playing everywhere in the secondary." It's like, yeah, okay, well, you're a safety. I think Keelan is more of a traditional safety, which I think, you got Zach Ford as a safety. Blake Stewart would be a traditional safety, and then, assuming Georgia keeps both of them, Tyreek Green, I think, is a perfect fit at star. And Jordan Smith honestly could play any position in the secondary. And Justice Fitzpatrick could maybe play star as well. So they needed to add some safeties in this class, and I think they are attacking it with Stewart, with Green could play safety too. He's not just a star. With Fort. Gosh, I've got so many DBs. I can't even remember all. Jordan Smith, obviously. So and that could be a position I would maybe look at them to target in the portal again as well. So got to get some safeties, and they're off to a good start with it in the high school class.
And definitely need some in the portal. You had a fantastic war room. We talked about that when we opened the show, where you talked about the transfer portal. You touched on that, touched on some guys who are on the team that might actually stay. How many games did Colby Young play in?
What game was that he got hurt? Ole Miss, maybe. So that's 7, I think.
Anyway, I wondered if he puts in for like a medical red shirt.
You can try. You can try with anything with the NCAA nowadays. So
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
But anyway, the reason I bring that up is because you also had a note in there about Zach Branch that folks need to go read. You mentioned that I can't give away everything in the war room, but you did mention that Georgia's going to take a lot of guys in the portal. And I'm like, okay, if they're going to take that many, can we get half of them to be safeties?
Yeah, because I mean, you look forward to next year, like you should have Ellis Robinson and DeMelo Jones as your top 2 corners. KJ Bolden will be a safety. Janelle Aguero figures to either probably be back at star, maybe moving to safety, but who knows? So, but you're going to need another safety back there. So, portal, one of these guys, Rashawn Dinkins, we've seen some of, Todd Robinson. I guess Kyron Jones could be back, I think. So you got to figure out that other safety spot. And I think it's going to be wide open, just like it kind of was this year. It's going to be wide open to figure out who can.
It was wide open this week.
Patrol. Yeah. I mean, it's very much up. I mean, we've seen more of Zion Branch as the year has gone on. I think it's still kind of I don't want to say work in progress, because that makes it seem like the defense is giving up 50 points a game, but trying to figure out what works best opposite KJ Bolden in that back end. So we'll continue to see.
It's not a strength.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's if you're trying to pick a weak spot in this defense, I would say that's that strong safety or field safety, whatever. The other safety besides KJ Bolden is probably one up.
Yeah, you look for, and if you can get one of those guys in coverage, and that's who you attack. If you can get they're pretty good at attacking the star spot. They loved attacking any linebacker in coverage, and if you can get anybody not named KJ Bolden in coverage, then that's who you go after. So it is what it is. You mentioned Gary Bell says, I don't have a clue what he's going to do. Mansell said Curtis hinted to him that he's coming to UJ. I don't put any stock into what is gossip. I'm not saying it's a done deal. You are. Okay. Well, not us. He's talking to somebody else in the comment section there, but
nobody knows, man. I think again.
Well, you can have hinted at, because
nobody knows.
Here's the fellow commits in his signing class at Georgia say he's coming to Georgia. The commits to the Vanderbilt class say they think they're getting it. So
maybe it's like Travis Hunter and he ends up going to like Jackson State, or Marshall Faulk just went to Southern or somewhere. Maybe he goes there. Like it's like nobody. I don't think you can know for sure, because I think you look at the facts of it and both sides seem confident, which to me screams both sides are being told what they want to hear. And I don't know how you can
like
know.
Justice Harry told everybody at
I don't know how you can feel super solid and predicting anything necessarily when that looks like it's the case. So we've only got 38 more hours of this to go.
And man, people get mad. It's like, well, just tell us where he's going to go. It's like, well, if the kid doesn't know, or the kid
don't know.
So if I call Kirby on my phone right now, if I call Kirby and Kirby says we're getting you, and then I come to you, and I'm not going to say Kirby told me, because that would be breaking my confidentiality there. I can say, look, I've spoken to the best source at Georgia, and he says that Georgia's going to get Jared Curtis. And then Jared Curtis goes to Vandy. You're like, you lied to us. I'm like, no. I spoke to the guy who would
yeah.
know more than anybody, and I'm just using this as a hypothetical. This doesn't happen. Kirby never talks to me. But if our Vanderbilt reporter reached over there and he calls and gets a hold, of Coach Lee, and Lee's like, yeah, we got him. We put the deal, he signed the contract. He signed the NIL contract. Well, you can sign more than one. They all have an out clause on them. So, hell, you can sign financial aid agreements. So anyway, the point is, I'm with you. Both sides have ample reason to be optimistic. So we're getting questions about Cam Coleman. Here's the portal isn't open. Cam Coleman is not in the portal, but we've been hearing for a long time that if Cam Coleman were to go into the portal, he might wind up at Georgia. Fair to say?
Be huge. Yeah, Georgia would be in it. I remember Georgia, before his recruitment really blew up, I remember interviewing him at the Under Armour camp. He was very high on Georgia. And at that point, it was Georgia and South Carolina. And obviously he exploded into one of the top receivers in the country after that. And that was Brian McClendon's regime as receivers coach as well. But yeah, he's one of the top guys in the country. And I think, let's say Colby Young is gone. That's another big bodied guy that you could add. He's not quite as big. He's not as big as Colby. He's probably more that Noah Thomas weight, maybe not quite as tall, but a guy who can do everything on the football field. So yeah, I would expect Georgia to be all over it, but they won't be the only ones, right? So you can pretty much say that for sure.
Okay. Who else? You mentioned Stewart, that Georgia could land him this week.
Yeah, Stewart's Wednesday morning. Tyreek Jemison is the offensive lineman who he visited Georgia 3 times in the last month and a half of the year, which is big. And I think he was considering Ole Miss, and supposedly LSU asked about him. And I believe Georgia's going to add him. I don't know exactly when he's announcing yet. I guess at this point it's a decent chance it's Wednesday morning or Wednesday, whenever he's signing. But I like Georgia's position to add him. I'd still pick Georgia for Stewart too, although Vandy is trying hard. And then one that kind of developed yesterday, Terrence Pinnock, a linebacker from South Gwinnett, is committed to Coastal Carolina. He visited for the Ole Miss game, and then things had kind of didn't really go anywhere. And he gets an offer from Georgia yesterday, and he had a call with Schumann. He and his parents then got another call with Schumann, and then the quote he gave me earlier, let me find it. It sounds like that call went pretty well. Let me find it. The call was packed with information and made me feel a whole lot better in terms of decision making. So for a guy that's in state that was very high on Georgia when he visited, on top of that, Coastal Carolina is they fired their coach yesterday. So I feel like Georgia's got a pretty good chance to land Pinnock. And before you say, oh, this kid's committed to Coastal Carolina, go watch his huddle film, because this kid, his huddle is 6 minutes of him obliterating kids over and over and over again with there's a goal line fade touchdown mixed in there as a tight end. There's a couple interceptions. His film is awesome. And South Gwinnett plays big boy football too. So you pair him or add him with Elijah Littlejohn and Nick Abrams. That is a very good linebacker class, especially since everybody, you remember, Roddy, when the world was falling, when Georgia didn't get Tyler Atkinson. That's a pretty good linebacker class to have missed on a guy like that.
And as we always say with these guys, they didn't get them yet.
Yes. True. Very true.
The transfer portal is here. Georgia's already lost one guy, or will lose one guy to the portal. I mentioned this on the post-game overreaction show. I did that on Saturday. When I thought the Alabama game was over, funny, then Auburn came back. So you're welcome, Auburn. When I just assumed that the game was over, you guys started getting it together. I mentioned that the intends season starts, i.e., so-and-so intends to enter the transfer portal, because they can't enter it until after January, but they can tell you right now that they plan to go into the portal, or you can call it planning season or intends season. And sure enough, Daniel Harris announced yesterday that he intends to enter the transfer portal. That's not a big loss to Georgia. This guy, he started out. Was he the starting cornerback against Alabama?
I don't.
Or was it Ellis Robinson?
I literally wrote this story. I'm pretty sure it was Robinson because I think I wrote that he started the first 3 and then played in the next 3 and then only played in a couple since, I believe.
Yeah, see, that's what I was wondering. So my point is, this is a guy who started out last year. He was a liability. He seemed to get better at the end of the year, or at least we thought, and just didn't quite work out for Georgia. Now he's like third string. Been replaced by Ellis Robinson and DeMello Jones. So he's going to enter the portal. There will be probably maybe 20 others, and Georgia's going to replace those guys in the portal. They'll probably take about 20, and then they got a huge signing class coming up. We actually got a super chat regarding some of the other guys coming up. This is from Parts Unknown, who's always a fantastic sponsor of our show. It says, "Don't care about Curtis. Did we get Fitzpatrick?"
I think so. That's Justice Fitzpatrick, who has been committed for a long time. It's Minka Fitzpatrick's younger brother, and I think that's what Georgia's got going for it is Kirby Smart recruited Minka and all that. That played a big role in his recruitment, and that obviously hasn't changed. So the thing about it is, though, like you always worry when it's Miami involved because they're a school that has shown they will take the NIL to a new level as it gets down to signing day.
Extreme limits.
I believe Georgia gets him, but that's one to pay attention to all the way till he gets announced by Georgia on. I'm assuming he's signing Wednesday. I guess I can look, but I believe Georgia gets him as of now.
Hey, Parts Unknown, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate those, and again, we always use those for the show. I do buy my own bourbon once I run out of the stuff that Hunker gives me, or the nice little gummies I get from the Rogue Shop. So we don't use them for those. We actually use them for my new mic. Ooh, fancy. So, Jed, I have another one for you. I'll give you my old one. You can have my old crappy mic if you want it.
Deal.
So, I think someone has already stolen one of our updates and put it on Twitter. I hate when these bastards do this. They come read UGAsports.com, they read the vault, and then they take your information and they report it as if if it were theirs. It's just thievery. It's assholishness. I mean, if you're going to steal our information, at least put our name on it, as reported by. But go ahead and tell the fine folks who decided to waited an extra hour to watch our show tonight, what's going on with Mr. Calakut.
Yeah, Chase Calakut had the legal stuff in the summer with I believe it was aggravated assault or whatever. Harrison got a hold of him this afternoon. He said, "Yeah, I'm locked in with Georgia. I'm planning on signing this week." One Georgia source told me that's the plan as of now. Another one said that there's some things to sort out. It's fluid, as the kids say. So, I think the plan is still to sign. That's what I took out of that. It could be he signs this week and doesn't plan to enroll till the summer. It could be, like tentatively, what's the word? Like signs, contingent on the legal stuff working out. It could be. So I don't know. I don't know exactly, but it was good and a great job by Harrison to get him on the phone. And yeah, he says, "Yeah, I'm locked in, planning on signing," and that's the stuff. So we kind of didn't know all through the fall what the deal was. We kind of didn't think he would be in the class just because there was some, the charges were pretty serious. And I don't know exactly how it's gone, but clearly Georgia has vetted it at least so far to a point where they feel comfortable signing. But again, we'll see if it's announced this week, if he signs and it's announced in February. Like I don't know, but we'll see how that goes. But that's what we were told tonight. So we'll see how it keeps going with Mr. Calakut throughout the week. The kids got through Wednesday through Friday to sign early. So if he doesn't sign Wednesday, there's still a couple days to keep talking and sort things out. So we'll see.
Okay, so Trying to think of what's the latest on PJ Dean? Because I'm thinking of guys who Georgia might lose. So we talked
Yeah.
about the three guys they might get. Well, of course, Jared Curtis you have, right? There's three guys that you might that you're trying to you assume that you have, or that's the number one story. Then you have Tariq Jamison, the offensive lineman you mentioned. You have Blake Stewart, the safety, and then Terrence Pinnock, the obliterating linebacker that you mentioned. We got the question about Justin Fitzpatrick. They've already lost Keelan Jones. You mentioned that. But PJ Dean was the third one that I think people wanted to know about. What's the status on him?
Yeah, he visited South Carolina over the weekend for their home loss to Clemson.
4-8
season. I was actually just reading something from Chad, who just put out. He thinks Georgia sticks. I'm kind of with him. I think Georgia is going to hang on to him, but it was a very close race, like all the way till the end. Like I remember the morning he committed, he told me he was committing to South Carolina, and then it went down to the final hour, and it ended up being Georgia. So South Carolina is a school that never went away in that recruitment, and I believe Georgia's going to hang on to him as well, which is it's a loaded D-line class. And I think to go to another guy, I don't think Seven Cloud's going to be in the class, so which makes it all the more important to hang on to Dean. And he's a guy that needs to get bigger. He was kind of a slight offensive lineman for much of his recruitment, but the athleticism and the strength is very, very impressive. If he bulks up a little bit, he's a quick twitch guy who can be very disruptive up front. So I think Georgia's going to hang on to him as of now, but that's another one where we're going to continue watching it through the rest of the week.
Somebody, I consider this one kind of pie in the sky, but there's still the whole. People keep asking about it. What's with the Damian Gayton?
Yeah, I'm
trying to go through. I'm trying to hit as many kids as possible before we start talking football.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I wonder, and I don't know this, when he's signing, because that could be one everybody wonders. Like, if Jared Curtis goes to Vanderbilt, you've got some funds you could point toward LaDamian Gayton, and I think I don't know that would be enough. I don't think it would, just because I believe Texas A&M's NIL offer is much higher than Georgia's, which I think is a big reason why he is committed there. But it wouldn't hurt, right? It'd give you a shot. So Georgia's not going to back down because that's a guy they love and have loved for a couple years now. I don't think Georgia will get him. They're not going to give up. And
you pointed him out as a damn freshman.
Do what?
You pointed him out as a freshman.
Yeah, dude, he's a stud. I mean, he's absolutely just a stud. But I don't think they get him. I'm like, that's another one, like you said, they don't get him yet. That could be a guy who comes back. Because I mean, he told Harrison or Lance one last month. He's like, yeah, my heart's always been at Georgia and all this kind of stuff. That sounds like a kid that's committed to Georgia, honestly. So I don't think that's what Georgia's got going. I think that's a guy who it's close to home. Obviously, that's where I think if money weren't an object, I feel like Georgia would have him. And I think if Georgia can get closer to A&M's offer, or A&M, not A&M, Texas Tech's offer, that's their only chance. But I don't see it happening. But that's another one where we'll keep an eye on it till pen hits paper.
Yeah, it's as Memphis Dog says, Texas oil money. Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, people. And here's the thing: Texas Tech is putting together a really good class, and that's going to cost them a lot. But as we've seen, we saw Texas A&M do this one, like the first year of NIL. You can have a crazy budget, go out and hire a bunch of great guys, but you still got to coach them. You still got to put them in the right spots. You have to develop them. And if you have the wrong culture, then I always think about this in the NFL. You've seen this, Jed. I know you have. When they have a rookie come up to do the rookie skit, they either have to tell a joke, sing a song, do a dance or something. The guy is in front of the team for the first time, and they're like, "All right, what's your name and what's your bonus?" And the guy stands up and goes, "I'm so and so, and here's my signing bonus." And then they all cheer for and everyone's happy that he got it. But again, it's a business. You're another professional in that room. And you can have a room full of professionals and be as shitty as the Falcons. You can be a bad football team, even though you have a lot of talented players. It's more than just signing the best players for the most amount of money. They have to play like a team. That's why Kirby's big on his fire, passion, and energy thing, which again, when I first heard it, I'm like, this is some positive imaging mantra type stuff. But hey, he's got these kids, they're connected, they play for each other, they play well, and he may not have the best players out there, but they're still winning games. And they shut down Tech, only held them 9 points. So as much as you'd love to get if NIL wasn't here, Kirby Smart would be getting a Damian Gayton. He'd have gotten he might even be getting an Aaron Gregory. He might have been getting a bunch of talent in this state and have them stack like cordwood and be favored to win 2 or 3 more titles. But he's got his team at 11-1. They barely lost that one game there, and remember they went in that game without the best of tackles. You know, you had Big Jaw Jarrett out there, and was it Uni or Calhoun started that game? Anyway, it wasn't a great situation for them. Point being, you're not going to be able to get. I'm just going off what Jed said. A few years ago, you would have a Damian Gayton, but the other schools are going to push all their chips in the middle and get a few guys like that you really want. But and it just sucks, you know. But at the same time, you know, you're going to need to counter. So keeping PJ Dean, that's a big deal. Getting Kamari Brooks, that's a big deal. Getting a Jared Curtis, that'd be a big deal too. You know, but without him, you still got a Ryan Puglisi. So if you don't get him this year, you get him the next. And there's plenty enough talent out there for good coaches to develop. So I'm with you there. All right, let me get your thoughts real quick on the Georgia Tech game.
Actual football, that's nice. Yeah, it was. I've mentioned it a few times this year. Like, this is a Georgia team that can win in a lot of different ways, and this one was just a slugfest where the offense was running the ball really well early, and then that dried up, and the passing game, for whatever inexplicable nonsensical reason, never really got going. But then all of a sudden, you've got your defense playing. That's what I wrote about today. Your defense is playing really well, and that's why you won. So I think. The first half was good. Yeah, they only got 13 points, but they moved the ball pretty well. And then the second half was just, I mean, it was nothing. It was really weird to see. I think getting Chauncey Bowens back will help. But yeah, I think the biggest thing, I think the offense will be fine. I know everybody says Georgia Tech's defense sucks. Why didn't they score more? Georgia Tech has the past 3 or 4 years has played up to Georgia's level in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. It's a huge game for them. This is, especially with their bigger goals off the table, this was their, I hate saying it's their Super Bowl but I mean, it is,
well,
right?
And every Tech guy came after it for
that. So I think the offense will be fine. I think the biggest thing, if you want to take away from it, is this defense continues to get better and better and better and better and better, which you're going to need throughout the playoffs.
Nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, and so you got that, and then I think the biggest question is, how will the offensive line do without Drew Bobo? It sounds like he'll be gone for a little bit, and it sounds like it's going to be Malachi Tolliver at center against Alabama. But then, if you look forward to the playoff, do they roll with Tolliver? Do they try Mike Morris? Do they try Dontrell Glover? Like, that's when I think you could see a serious look at it. But I think it's going to be Malachi Tolliver on Saturday, and can he play well enough with the guys around him to get things done on offense? But overall, you got the job done on defense, and that's something that you never would have thought you'd said about this team a month ago. So that's an encouraging sign.
The way I see it, Georgia could run it, but Tech knew that they were going to. So Tech sold out. They took a lot of chances, i.e., bring more defenders than you have blockers. You saw Austin Peay do it. You saw Marshall do it. When you were outmanned, you bring more men. The drawback is that opens you up for passing plays. Georgia had some great shots, and they missed on them. So once you miss on one passing play, first down, you throw the sideline route to Dylan Bell. the throws off. Now you're looking at 2nd and 10. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to throw it again and be facing the possibility of 3rd and 10? Or do you run it and try to get 5 yards so that your 3rd down is a 3rd and 5? Well, you run it. Now they know you're going to run it. So what do? Bring all the men on the line, and they sell out for the run, and they stop you, and you only get 3. Now you're trying to convert a 3rd and 7. And Gunner was not sharp. I don't know if there were people saying, does he have a concussion? I don't know. He just did not look like Gunner Stockton. And there were some wallops. There were some hits on the first part of the game. So I don't know if he's just rattled or he's trying too hard. I've had other people tell me he was so geeked up to play this game that he was forceful. He's you throw the ball way too hard or something like that. You're just a little too. You can't play, as a friend of mine said, you can't play this game hyped up like you're a middle linebacker. You got to be the quarterback. Got to be cool, calm, and collected. He wanted to win this game badly, and so maybe he was trying too hard and not letting things happen the way they should. So, but somebody asked me, can Georgia Tech win this game? And I said, yes, because every team is due a clunker of a game. And we don't think that Georgia would have a clunker because they had so many close calls in the first part of the season. And they just seem to be getting better and better. And then you whip Texas like they did. You're like, okay, this team's really dangerous right now. But no, you can still have a clunker like that. And sometimes the other team, when they take chances, they hit on those. Couple turnovers, penalties that stopped some drives. It was just not your best game. Poor clock management at the end of the second half.
Yes. Yeah, that was hard to watch. That was
and then that was bad. But that's what they're going to do. And then
also, I was just going to say, it also felt like in the passing game, there was a lot of these 50-50 balls, these fades down the sideline, and it didn't feel like Georgia got a single one of them. And if you flip a coin 10 times in a row, there's a chance you get heads 9 out of 10 times, right? Or 10 out of 10 times. And that's kind of what it felt like. The odds of that happening when you've got Noah Thomas and Dylan Bell and London Humphreys, that's not very high. And they just, and credit to Georgia Tech, there was good coverage. It's not like it was straight drops. But those were just either slightly out of sync or covered well or whatever most of the time. And then those, if you get a couple of those, maybe the outcome of the game is wider too. So it was just, again, like you were saying, one of those days where the offense just never really gets in gear, other than midway through the first or the end of the first half, the running game was pretty much doing whatever it wanted. But other than that, most of it was fits and starts. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So then Georgia looked good when they were playing Alabama until they lost their starting right tackle. It's like, oh, hey, we're doing good. Then we lost to Marius Mims and everything goes to hell. Well, losing your starting center was bad.
Doesn't help. Yeah.
Drew Bobo is fantastic on this offensive line. That's a really big deal. Okay. Sorry, I just got a little update there. I need to call Dash and let him know that there was a wreck that we were talking about. So that is true, but I don't know how bad the injury was. So it'll be what we're hearing here posted shortly. But I don't know if Gunner was hurt, but Nate Frazier seemed to limp a little bit. Losing your starting center messed things up a bit. Malachi Tolliver had some high snaps, but he's not Drew Bobo. And when you're playing the second half with Josh McCray, I don't know what was going on with Peanut and maybe this Bo Walker thing, the news I just got there is maybe why he wasn't playing. I don't know when that happened, but the point being, it's a situation where your running game is different with Nate Frazier and a healthy Drew Bobo. And I think if Chauncey had been there, it's a completely different ball game. If Chauncey Bowens had been getting some of those, I think Josh McCray had 13 carries. If I think give 6 or 7 of those to Chauncey Bowens, we see a different outcome. All right, let me get your thoughts because I know we don't have too much time left. Thoughts on the Georgia-Alabama game, and I will 2 notes. Let me back up. Drew Bobo is out. He will be having surgery on his foot. I'm not sure exactly what, but that he is out. There's no question. Jam Miller, the running back at Alabama, is also out. There's a lot of speculations whether he will play or whether or not. He will not be playing. I got that from an Alabama source that I trust implicitly. They have another running back that, like this, 250 pounds. He's a big old boy. He'll be there, and then I think they have a freshman who will be their number 2 back. But so they should be without. They're probably going to be without their top 2 backs, or at least 2 of their backs, and definitely Jam Miller being their number 1. But he is out for that game. Georgia will be without Drew Bobo. That's going to be a tough loss for the Bulldogs. So they have a tight end that's beaten up at Alabama. So kind of give me your overall view on how this one is stacking up.
I ain't picking Georgia again. I'll tell you that now, because I've done it, and I'm not on principle alone.
I think we need to have the entire staff needs to pick Alabama.
I'm not. I felt so dumb because I told myself I wasn't going to do it the first time, and then I did. And my prediction was literally, if not now, win, and they lost again. So I'm not picking Georgia again. Other than that, I mean, I think you look at it, you can say it's hard to beat a good team twice, and that's certainly true. But Georgia beat Texas twice last year, right? So I think you're going to need – I think the biggest thing is this is a different defense than the first time these 2 teams played. And I think that's what this is going to come down to, because we all remember last time what this looked like. It was third down after third down after third down. It was over and over all night long.
Was it 7 or 8 straight?
I think it was 8. Those first 2 touchdown drives. And Georgia falls into
the first quarter.
Maybe that's what it was. And Georgia's down early, and then they never got all the way out of the hole. So, but this defense, they're figuring out the pass rush. Kirby Smart said it today. We don't have what Kirby said was, we don't have a dominant, straight up beat you pass rusher, but they are figuring out how to scheme rushes open, how to use these linebackers as blitzers, and getting a lot more pressure. Like, I looked at stats today. Well, I should have had my story pulled up anyway, but you look at the first 7 games of the season versus Georgia played 5 in November. Every defensive stat is better. You look at
tackles for loss, 27 and 25.
So first 2 months of the season, opponents converted 41% of their third downs. November, 27.8%. 8 sacks in the first 7 games. They had 9 sacks in November. 27 tackles for loss in the first 7 games. 25 over the last 5 games. Like, this defense is playing a lot better in pretty much every area, and it's a different unit than what did I say after Georgia lost to Alabama? It won't be the same defense that plays Texas. I didn't think Georgia would end up playing Alabama again necessarily, but it's the same thing. This is not the same defense, and I think that's what Georgia is going to have to do, or the unit Georgia's going to have to rely on to win. They're going to have to pressure Ty Simpson. They're going to have to keep Alabama one-dimensional, which they've struggled running the ball all year long, and they're going to have to prevent big plays down the field to Ryan Williams, Isaiah Horton, Jeremy Bernard. Talking myself into picking Georgia again. I'm not going to do it. And then offensively, you got to keep running the football. You got to keep, and that's the question: is what will this offensive line look like without Drew Bobo in? A, just physically as a player, right? But B, making checks, communicating, all that stuff that goes with the center. How will Malachi Tolliver handle all that stuff against? Obviously, by far the toughest test of his career. So we'll see. It's going to be close. It's going to come down to just a couple plays, like every Georgia-Alabama game does. And listen, I say I'm not picking Georgia, and that's true because I told myself after the first time I'm not going to do it. But Georgia easily could win this game.
No,
right?
you can't pick them until they win.
Exactly. But these are 2 very talented, very tough teams. I mean, Kirby said it yesterday and again today. Both teams earned the right to be here. With the schedules they played and the wins they had. I mean, both teams had to survive wars at Auburn. Georgia had to win at Tennessee. Georgia had to beat Texas. Alabama is having – who's Alabama beaten? Alabama had to beat LSU. LSU's always tough. So it's been a war to get here. They're two very good teams, and whichever team wins on Saturday won't surprise me unless it's Georgia. So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's definitely a roadmap to Georgia winning this game, and I think it starts with a new and improved defense that's playing much different than it was when these two teams played 2 months ago.
Georgia will have better tackles than it did in that game, offensive tackles. They will have better tight end production. Remember, Georgia gave up inside their 25. They fumbled the ball, gave up a field goal. They lost by that field goal. That was the 3-point margin. So Smart was asked about the game and his approach. He said, this game's going to come down to turnovers like that. They've had a turnover on their side of the field the last 3 times they faced Alabama. And sometimes it was the margin in the game. I think the first and third time. So explosive plays, you had him on the ropes, you're winning, and then Ryan Williams gets one on you. So it's just explosive plays, turnovers. I'm with you there. But Georgia, like you said, the defense will be better. Its offensive tackles will be better because it won't be the guys they had before. Your tight ends are better. Nate Frazier's running better. He has better ball security than he did before. So
yeah, sure.
Chauncey Bowens has come on strong. And it's what I think it was Gunner's 5th start. It was the 4th game of the year.
4th game of the year, 5th start. Yeah.
So
and he's gotten a lot much more experience.
Yeah. But Alabama's got a lot more experience. Ty Simpson, his first year. So they're better. I'm just going to say that between those two teams, where they were that night, where they are today, Georgia has gotten a lot better. Alabama has gotten better. Will that be enough? Probably not. But, it's just and I'm with you. It's like there was a while there that every time I picked the Georgia-Florida game, I picked Florida to win. People are like, why do you keep doing this? I'm like, because it's that damn game. And I think Kirby had to win 3 or 4 in a row before I start picking Georgia again. So I said, I'm going to do it until I see, okay, he's won 1. Fine. Okay, he's won 2, but that won't happen again. Okay, he's won 3, but yeah, and then they lost that Gators put up. When I finally picked them at Georgia to win, the Gators scored 45 and beat Georgia. I'm like, see, this is why you don't pick them. So I think I'm with you there. It's like I think we need to have the entire staff pick Alabama, and I know that will get around that room over there, and they'll be pissed. And sometimes when we all pick the same way, we're all losers. So Georgia versus LSU years ago. Last time Georgia went to LSU, everybody on staff picked Georgia to win that game, and LSU beat the shit out of them. So maybe we do that again. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for this week's show. We appreciate all of you tuning in. I hope you got some news, and some of the stuff that we reported tonight has not been reported publicly, so you got a treat tonight. Thank you for being a part of it. And also, again, you got 3 hours to sign up for the 50% off deal that they're running at On3. Just go to UGA Sports. If you're not a member, go ahead and sign up. It's $60 instead of 120, half off. I'd like to get a few more people. Like I said, Saturday morning, we were the number 2 fastest growing site in the entire network. And if you think about it, there are 7, 8 schools who are in the middle of coaching searches. And when you're in the middle of a coaching search, you get a lot of signups because people want the news. Georgia, without a coaching search, UGA Sports was number 2. We dropped with all the news of the coaching hires last week, but we're still one of the fastest growing sites in the network. And that's because of folks like you. And if you're not a member of our site, you need to sign up because I'm about to go put a note on the board right now that's going to piss a lot of people off. So go check it out. We will see you folks later. Y'all take care.